As I often say, if there's one thing about the functional requirements that will never change, it's that the functional requirements are going to change. I talk a lot about refactoring, and don't be afraid to refactor. In fact, I advocate don't overplan. Just get the gist of what you want to do and then make the best decision about that right now and go ahead and get started making. As you make your game, as you develop, things are going to change and you'll realize you made some mistakes. It's time to refactor. Just don't be afraid of refactoring. Refactoring is what I do all the time, and it's really not that scary. So let's do some refactoring right now. Early on, I decided to make the hit points, the damage function, take an integer. The amount of damage you can take from any hit is an integer. The basic bullet is 1 point of damage. The doubled up bullet is 2 points of damage. Why do I need a float for that? Well, I forgot there's a laser beam, and the laser beam needs to do fractional damage. It can't do 1 point per frame. So I'll need to change this to a float. Let's just do it, and let's just see how bad it is to do a minor refactor like that. I'm just going to change that right there and check out to see whether the compiler is going to find for me all the places that's going to ripple through where I need to make a change. Let's just follow it along. Okay, the player overrides the damage function, and that's a float now. Okay. And look, I've already got an int on that, so that's good. That was unnecessary. The only question I have left is this one right here, where I was already converting into an integer the amount of damage. Do I want to round that or just truncate it? I'm expecting almost every case to be an integer, and there's very little math on any of it. The only exception is the player's laser beam. The player's laser beam is not going to hit the player, so I'm just not going to worry about it. That one's done. Let's go on to pickup. Pickup has a damage on it, and that's a float. The pickup doesn't care about the damage, so that one's done. Enemy rocket. Similar, I think we'll find... Oh no, here we go. Hit points is an integer now, and that will need to be a float. So this is a float. I am curious. Yes, there you go. When I change this, that ripples through and it affects right here. So let's change hit points to also be a float. And max hit points, though, I will leave as an integer. And that should be good. And just to be proper, change that to be a float. All right. Worm section. Damage. That's float. Okay. And again, we have hit points, which are a float. Well, I mean, that being assigned like that in the constructor wasn't necessary because I want it to be assigned here. The maximum hit points I want to leave as an integer. The current hit points will just be copied from the float nature of it. Okay, and that's going to ripple through to here. I'll go ahead and fix that. Boom, 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 boom. Hit points is a float. I want that to be a point F. .f. All right, there's worm section. I want the .fs just for clarity. All right. Enemy bird. Damage, 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 damage. Oops, I missed. Damage. Float. And that's going to ripple into do damage. Float. Okay, and the hit points, which is a float. And again, like the other thing, it should be initialized here. So I don't really need this in the constructor. I'm going to take that out of the constructor. And we'll put the .0fs on. And it looks like, oh, I missed one. The ninja's got to do damage. Okay. Any more? All right, here's some convert. Oh, M hit points is now a float. Interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to int the answer. Yeah, and I'm going to truncate. I'm going to go with the truncate, and I will int the answer. And there's another one. All right, all the bugs are fixed. Let's verify that it works. Aha. Okay, that looks pretty solid. I think that's good. So let me just stick a pin in that. That is just an example of refactoring doesn't have to be super scary. That opens the door now that I've made that minor change. Now I can do the lasers, and the lasers will do fractional damage. So be on the lookout for that to be the next feature to the game, to put the Mega Penguin laser in. That is, I think, the last major feature that was ever in the original game. And at that point, and a few more levels, the entire game is complete up to the point where it ever was for the original. All right, that's it for today, and I'll see you out there.